Egypt right now. They're on the brink of stopping an Israeli attack on Gaza. We'll talk more in details because I have some sources telling me this exclusive reports, news, what is happening behind closed doors. So we'll discuss more in a second. But before I do that, just to remind you, most of my viewers are not subscribed. Consider subscribing and support my channel. This is coming from the Israeli media Haaretz newspaper. Basically, they're saying that Egyptian sources, they have confirmed that some of the issues threatening Gaza ceasefire have been resolved. And this report did not mention anything more in details, but we find a little bit of the details in this report. A Hamas delegation was in Cairo on Wednesday for Gaza truce talks, the group said, rejecting American and Israeli threats and demanding that Israel comply with the ceasefire deal. The truce, which came into effect last month, halted more than 15 months of war but has come under increasing strain in recent days, prompting a new push by mediators Qatar, Egypt to salvage it. Okay, basically two countries are involved directly in this. Number one is Egypt, because the talk is being held in Cairo, and number two is Qatar. The embarrassing part for the Zionist entity is this: they are just becoming so pariah that these issues are not being resolved in direct consultation with the Israeli government. Because Netanyahu, he doesn't want this issue to be resolved. He wants to continue the genocide in Gaza for his own survival. Qatar, Egypt, they are now snubbing him, if you want to call it that way. He was snubbed because they know that he is no longer the main player in all of this. Who is now the new main player in all of this? It is Donald Trump. Now, Haaretz newspaper, they have also reported that Donald Trump wants this ceasefire to hold. Again, you may hate him, you may love him, I don't care. But this is what Israeli newspaper Haaretz is reporting, that Donald Trump wants this ceasefire to hold. Again, this is exclusive information from a well-placed source. I have to subscribe to those sources and they gave me this information. So again, you're going to hear this only from me. On the other hand, Netanyahu, he is saying we do not want any kind of ceasefire. They have violated, Hamas violated the ceasefire, and he wants to attack Gaza Strip one more time. And recently he actually has called his reservists. Also, they have attacked Gaza, those shelters, those tents in northern part of Gaza, in order to continue this genocide or restart this genocide. But Donald Trump is telling him, you are not the boss, I am the boss. And now Egyptian and Qatari authorities, looks like to me they are in direct consultation with Donald Trump, not with Netanyahu anymore. A delegation headed by Khalil al-Hayya, head of the Hamas's movement in Gaza Strip, arrived in Cairo and began meetings with Egyptian officials, the Palestinian group said in a statement. It added that the delegation led by Hamas's chief negotiator was monitoring the implementation of the ceasefire agreement. A senior Hamas official told AFP the delegation, quote-unquote, will discuss ways to end the current crisis and ensure the Israeli occupation's commitment to implementing the agreement. Another part of this whole drama is that Israel is losing its legitimacy very rapidly, very, very fast. Few reasons. Number one is what they have done in Lebanon with the Hezbollah ceasefire agreement and how they violated it more than hundreds of times. This leaves Israel with no legitimacy and no reliability for these countries to go to Israel and talk to them directly or come to any peaceful solution or in any agreement. It is part of the Israeli government that would still go and take part in these negotiations with the Qatari and Egyptian counterparts, but nevertheless, Netanyahu, he doesn't have his direct blessing, if you like, to this particular groups of people going from the Israeli government to Qatar and Egypt to talk for a ceasefire deal. Therefore, this is why these Middle Eastern countries, they don't trust Israel and they don't see any need, especially now, to engage Netanyahu's government in this, because now they have Donald Trump to talk to. They have Donald Trump to hold him accountable, because if you take a look at recent statements, most of them, 99% of them, are coming from Donald Trump, not from Netanyahu, unlike in the past, when he will be coming on camera every single day making statements what his war plan is and how he's going to defeat Hamas. That has stopped for the most part. It is now Donald Trump. And number two reason why these Arab leaders, they do not trust or they do not grovel to Israel the way they did in the past, it is because of their defeat in Gaza itself. They have seen how they have tucked their tail behind their legs and ran away from Gaza Strip. They have seen it. The Egyptian intelligence, they have all kind of knowledge, information. Qatar, same thing. Turkey, same thing. Therefore, now they do not see Israel as a direct threat to any of these countries, because they know at the end of the day how vulnerable and how weak Israeli military is, who could not defeat only 20 to 25,000 fighters from Gaza Strip. On Tuesday, Israel warned that it could resume fighting if hostages are not released by Saturday, echoing a threat by US President Donald Trump, who said hell would break out if Hamas failed to release all Israeli hostages by that day. Again, you can clearly see that Donald Trump is taking charge of Israel at the moment. Not only that Egypt and Qatar, they are doing whatever they can in order to stop this genocide happening again in Gaza, but also looks like they're taking action, especially Egypt, against Donald Trump, against United States, for talking about cleaning out Gaza. Now, this is a recent development. Egyptian foreign minister announced yesterday its initial agreement to hold an emergency ministerial meeting of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation (OIC) regarding the rejection of the displacement of the Palestinians. The meeting will take place after emergency Arab summit scheduled for February 27 in Cairo. Egyptian foreign ministry announced at its initial agreement to hold an emergency ministerial meeting of the OIC. It may not be as effective as we would love to believe. OIC is, for the most part, is pretty weak organization. Nobody cares what OIC says. It's all about, oh, I see. Some people, they mock. Oh, I see. Means it's all talk, no action. However, this time it is different, because these leaders, for their own survival, Sisi, King Abdullah, Qatar, and all of these Middle Eastern countries' leadership, because they fear that there could be a revolution, there could be a huge problem if Gazans get displaced, they are now united, and MBS2, more than ever before. This is something unprecedented. I have personally never reported on this kind of unity ever before. This time, all of them are united that Gaza displacement is a big red line, will not accept it, and there will be consequences for Israel, because they know that Hamas, if they support Hamas, if they support the people of Gaza, and if Egypt supports through the Philadelphia corridor, where the Rafah crossing is also, and have Hamas fighters coming and going back and forth into Egypt and back into Gaza, then you can imagine how much of a destruction they can cause to the Zionist state. Hamas was suffocated. They could not move out. They could not go. They did not have the freedom of navigation to go any other country and recruit or regroup or gather more weapon. But if Egypt, they see Israel not obeying international laws, and they decide to go against Israel in some way, shape, or form, again, I don't believe that Egypt will do that, but if the Egyptian intelligence agency or the government is convinced that this is what we will do, will help Hamas, because enough is enough, Israel is not going to listen to any one of us, then guess what? They will wreak havoc. Hamas will wreak havoc, and Israel will not be able to do anything. Contact has been taken place over the past few days between Foreign Minister Badr Abdul Latif and a number of foreign ministers of OIC's member states, including Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Iran, Jordan, to discuss developments in the Palestinian issue. You can see all of these countries are now coalescing. Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Iran, and Jordan, and all of these countries, especially Iran and Saudi Arabia. The other day, Iran declared that going back to fight with Saudi Arabia is never going to happen ever again. So again, unity. You can see the unity. And now you also have Pakistan, and Turkey's president is traveling Malaysia. So man, I mean, I have never seen something like this, to be honest with you. And I believe that the leaders of the Middle Eastern countries, they have seen how Israel got exposed to this Gaza war, that they are really not a big deal, and without the help of United States, Israel, they don't matter at any day. They don't count even. So this is why perhaps they're now ever more, interested to really go against Israel and make it clear that you have to abide by all the international laws. The three-phase ceasefire agreement in Gaza Strip came into effect on 19th January, with each phase set to last 42 days. Now, the second phase, this is where the problem begins. Netanyahu, he doesn't want the second phase to start. He wants to start war instead of second phase. The first phase for Netanyahu was just a PR stunt. Tried to convince his people in Israel that I have done my best to rescue those hostages. I could not. Now I have the right to fight, and now I have the right to go back to war with Hamas without any string attached to anything. But of course, the people of Israel, the Zionist state, they are not buying it anymore from Netanyahu. Leave a comment, guys, in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next.